guys for coming back to another episode of the Salah podcast.
You forgot to mention that I'm also a pool champion.
You know we can't cut stuff like this out, you know that? Words of wisdom from the sensei.
Somebody give me a hard drive. My mental capacity is like...
Why are you doing what you're doing? You could be doing something that's seemingly good for the wrong reasons.
Como ministros, ya no buscamos la esencia de Dios del corazón de la persona hacia el corazón de Dios.
Hey guys, welcome back. I want to introduce you to my guest for today. It's been a long time. It's been a while since we've been behind the cameras and sitting down together. So before anything, we want to catch you guys up on where life has taken us lately and how we've been doing. So
March 8th,
Yeah.
to be exact, was the last day we recorded.
Yep.
And then we vanished. Poof. Gone.
We didn't completely vanish, but I mean, we did take a step back for a while.
Yeah. But hey, let's look at the roller coaster of a ride.
Right.
From
so
the middle to the end of March
March
to
8th, right?
April. Yeah.
March 8th was the last one. And since then, I have finished nursing school and I have graduated. And I'm on my way to waiting to get my NCLEX date set up so I can pass an NCLEX. But since then, I say we because it's a whole team and family effort with so much support that I had through the journey. So I want to give a shout out to all my friends and family who were present with me through thick and thin, through silence and everything, stresses and just everything that comes with nursing school. And I am so glad to be done because it was a lot of growth within myself as a person, a lot of learning experience as of who I am, my relationship with God. And I can honestly say that through those years, I learned a little bit about myself that I didn't know. And so I'm glad to have gotten so much closer to God throughout that whole process. So that's where we've been at for the last couple of weeks, month and a half, maybe.
Month and a half.
Just enjoying a little bit of not doing anything, if we're being completely honest. Not doing anything, which I think is pretty good, you know. It's good for a moment to just sit back and just relax and soak in everything. And honestly, it's been great. It's been great up to now. And I'm thankful that God brought me through to the finish line because it was touch and go for a second. There was days where I was spiraling out of control mentally. And luckily, I have good friends who were reeling me back in, praying for me, slapping me across the face to get it together sometimes. But
Literally?
yes, not literally.
Oh, okay.
And even if they did, I would have just let them because sometimes you just need a slap in the face to like react, you know? But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do
We're
that.
promoting violence here?
No, I'm not promoting violence, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, ministry-wise, we were busy.
Yeah, that doesn't stop. Ministry-wise has been on the go. But personal lives in our family, our small little family, it's been good. Melody turned 8 years old. Her first little school play was recently. We got to experience that together.
Yeah.
Because before it was like, I can't go because of school, so you're going to have to go. Or he can't go because of work, so I would have to go. So there's a lot of sacrifices that were made throughout that journey. But being able to be present and watch her from afar because I couldn't see her much, it was good. It was a blessing. So yeah.
Yeah. And I think, just reiterating the recap, I think the last couple weeks was probably the hardest, right? As you're finishing up.
Yeah.
Because, you guys were locking in on a Tuesday at church studying.
Yeah.
To seeing you guys graduate, seeing you guys walk down the aisle into ODM, getting you guys' diploma. I think it's a I'm gonna say bittersweet moment because sweet in the aspect that you've done, better because for the last 3 years all you've known is stress.
Yeah.
You know.
Literally. And it's hard to come off of that.
Yeah.
Because that's all you know. My friend said it. She's like, we've been in fight or flight mode for the past 3.5 years. And now we're just coming down from everything, starting to kind of like, let that go. And it's been pretty tough because it's like, you feel like,
What do you do?
I feel like I'm not doing enough, but at the same time, I need to be kind to my body, kind to my mind, just kind to myself in all aspects. Because I think, you know me, I'm like my hardest critic.
Yeah.
I'm so hard on myself, and I'm like, I have to be nice to myself. So I enjoyed a couple of weeks of just catching up on Netflix shows and just doing nothing, which is great.
But you were still pretty informed on the Netflix shows.
What do you mean? Well, I would watch them, but like not
Watch them?
consciously, like not consciously watching them, if that makes any sense. Because I'm still in the back of my mind, like I got a homework assignment due in like an hour, or like I have to study for an exam tomorrow, or I have to do this and have to do that. When now, like the only show that I really, really, really watched recently was The Last of Us. I think that's what it's called. And I really sat through it and like binged it, like, and I was focused on it. Like I wasn't, obviously you have the kids and family and stuff like that, but like when Melody's in school or when the girls are asleep, just watching it. And yeah, that was like, it's like the mental part. You're there, but you're not there in nursing school. And now you're actually there because you're done. Well, semi-done because you have to do the NCLEX and all that show. But yeah.
But all right, guys, let's jump into today's topic. Something that came up recently as we were chatting away with the youth of our church.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where we're gonna go with this, but we'll just see where it goes. And I know we already talked about relationships previously in the previous weeks, but the topic came back up recently, and about your perspective on girls dating,
Mm-hmm.
and then obviously on the mental aspect of men or boys, and what they also align with when it comes to this topic. Reason why we're going to talk about it, because I think it's a very important topic now today, because in today's youth or in today's generation, I think there's a sense of distraction
Mm-hmm.
that comes amongst that, from the girl's aspect of overthinking certain things, and from a boy's aspect of
Just not
being,
thinking.
well, not even not thinking, but like being that center focus point of the distraction.
Yeah.
So we'll see where we go here, and then see where it takes us. So
Sounds
like
good.
what we had some conversations yesterday. Obviously, I'm
Mhm.
not gonna say with who. And she was explaining to us like a certain situation. But the majority of the aspect of what I heard was, I'm at work thinking, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I like this, I like that.
And just to be
and-
clear, like we've had other individuals in the past years
Yeah,
like
and
come up
this
to us
is-
with this conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think this is kind of more fresh in my memory.
Yeah.
That's why I want to use it. So you that you've obviously grown in the ministry, and we obviously dated while we were in the ministry.
Mm-hmm.
And by I say the ministry, like in the church, we weren't ministers or ordained ministers at any point while we were dating.
No.
This happened after we got married.
A couple of years
Uh,
after we got
yeah.
married,
But how much of a distraction were boys for you during your early, late teens? I can't say early 20s because you were already married to me.
Yeah.
So
Those years were long gone. They were a major distraction, a big distraction. I remember one time I was at a church, and the first time I've ever gotten called up to the front because they had a word for me, and at that time I was like, I didn't really care because I wasn't mentally there,
yeah,
And he specifically told me, don't stop, leave the distraction of the boys away. They're distracting you from God's purpose in your life. It was just clear as day. Leave the boys just like deja ir, you know, all the boy stuff. And in my head, I'm like, you're upset about it because you're like, no, it's not. But usually when God uses somebody to speak directly to you, you're gonna take offense to it because you think that
Is attacking you.
yeah, it's an attack. When in all reality, God's trying to align you, right? And I remember that clearly because I'm like, they're not a distraction. And all those years, I just, was distracted to the point where I wasn't really focused in my relationship with God because I was distracted.
Yeah.
And then to the point where I wasn't really focused in my studies either because I was distracted. How we passed high school, it's by the grace of God, probably because I'm not, sometimes I don't give myself enough credit though. Like, yes, I'm a smarty pants, but not to the point where it's like big up there, you know what I mean? I get what I get done and I do it,
Yeah.
but it is a big distraction because then you start thinking of other things and it leads you astray from what's really important. Now, like high school or grade school, because I think in grade school was when I really was very distracted, and my parents were always just trying to get me to just snap out of it, But it's things in life that I think happen, and it's a normal thing. Adolescents growing up, or teenagers growing up, or young adults growing up and wanting to find somebody, I think that those distractions can start very early on, and people, I believe that they need people to kind of like help them and listen to them. You know what I mean? Listen. Sometimes we just gotta listen to them. Because I always tell my nieces, I've never had anybody growing up. It was difficult to talk to somebody to give me advice that I needed to hear. I felt like I was asking advice in friends that were not really good influences at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I was getting my advice from them. And then my parents would obviously drag me to church because
You have to go to church.
I have to go to church. And so I didn't pay attention to the good influences in my life. I paid more attention to the bad influences in my life because that's what I wanted to hear. I didn't want to hear, like, snap out of it.
Like,
pay
you need
attention.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Type of advice.
Yeah. So boys were a big distraction for me when I was growing up. A big distraction. Had I had like a good, strong somebody like aligning me, kind of in a sense, maybe things would have been different. But I strongly believe that when things happen in your life, it happens for a reason. And at the moment, you might not understand that reason, but it's for a purpose. And I think that those moments of my years of being younger were a learning experience, like a big learning experience. So yeah, it's a major distraction. Major distraction.
What do you think is a primary reason on why how do I put it in the nicest terms?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, God made man and woman.
Right.
Why is it that the generation of today is focused on that?
That's a good question.
Finding somebody or feeling loved or wanting attention or why do you think that's important today? Because I feel like after hearing yesterday's conversation, it opened up my eyes in the sense of like, is there no love language at home?
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Like you know how they say that treat your daughters, to affirm your daughters every day, so that when she gets to that stage,
Mm-hmm.
no ordinary words from a boy are gonna come and distract her.
Yeah.
Or because she's gonna be used to the love language that the dad gives or the mom gives.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually, like if a boy says, "Oh, you look pretty today," it's gonna be like,
I know I'm pretty.
"I know I'm pretty," type of thing. Yeah,
But not in a vain way, but in a confident way.
because she's been raised and taught from little, why she's pretty or why she's beautiful in a sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think that? Like, why is it that a lot of these kids, and I'm not just talking in church, right? I'm talking outside,
Like in general.
in
yeah.
general, that they're looking for something. Because I mean, um, now you hear, like the really early teens, um, and they're making a normality of it, in the sense of like 16 and pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Or like teen mom type of thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
But in reality, it's like, what do you know at 14, 15, 16, 17 years old to be able to be looking in for something like that? I mean, everybody can be hot in the sense of like hormonally speaking, but it's like, why is it that they're looking for that?
Well, I think you hit it on the nail there. The lack of whatever it is at home.
Yeah.
Like if there's no attention at home, it's easy for them to wind up, like you said, 16 and pregnant, or pregnant at a very young age. Learning not to respect themselves.
Yeah.
As a girl speaking, you don't respect yourself as much because of maybe a lack of something at home, or just your influences around you. Just the influences that are
The
around
pressure, you think?
you. The pressure
The
of
pressure of
what you're hearing from your friends. Because I grew up in a Christian home where
Yeah.
values were instilled in me to respect myself, and when it comes to like this situation, it could either be or. You could have grown up in a family with values and morals instilled in you as a woman to respect yourself. But when you're hanging around the wrong crowd, you're going to feel pressured into having to fit a stigma, or having to fit a standard that they're involved in. Because I heard a lot of things
yeah.
when I was in grade school, and I felt like I needed to do that because I was cooler, because I got the guys' attention. You know what I mean? So I think that maybe young girls, I think I'm maybe speaking in an like teenage years. Mind you, it might happen sooner. Like it can happen at any stage depending on what you're around. But I think what you're around has a lot to do with
Right.
the decisions you make at that young age.
But even now and today, I feel like the normality of, I mean, there's a lot of people now, like it's just a mixture of like today, but it was like a requirement to have somebody. It almost felt like that.
What do you mean?
Like if you didn't have like a girlfriend or a boyfriend, I feel like it was
Oh yeah,
yeah.
like frowned upon.
yeah, like
Yeah.
you're just ugly. type
Yeah,
of thing.
nobody likes you. You're not
Nobody likes-
interesting.
Yeah, and I think, and now, I feel like the feitos are getting,
The phases are pulling the ladies.
are pulling the ladies, but because of the aspect of just, not saying that the feitos have no chance, but it's like almost like,
Nobody's feito, first of all.
yeah, but I just want to
Let's
point
start
that out, yeah.
there.
But it's like, how do I put it? Because I feel like they're just looking for attention. Doesn't matter where they get it from.
Yeah.
Like based on the conversation yesterday, and I'm not,
And just like conversations.
and
in
just
general.
conversations in general. Like I'm just like,
Well, let me put you on the spot because I feel like we've been talking about girls.
well, no, hold on. But it's like, why search for it?
Mm-hmm.
And if we're talking biblically speaking, right? And I said this yesterday. It was like David fell because of what he was looking at physically,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's like if we're continuing to walk and not walk in so much discernment, and
Yeah.
discernment comes from obviously reading the word and understanding the word and what the word says, then a lot of mistakes are often made because of impulse or very non-rational decisions that people take.
Yeah.
And sometimes the most toxic relationships are because of the lack of discernment in somebody or the lack of value in somebody. And this
Yeah.
goes both ways,
Right.
right? Because obviously now and today it's a normality, and I'm just keep using that word, normality,
Well, yeah.
of verbal and mental abuse on both sides,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because anybody can come and it's like I made that example yesterday. It's like, what's your favorite color? Like, oh, it's so, and I said, oh well, that's my favorite color. You know what I mean? Like anybody can say certain thing leading up to trying to get to know you or trying to get to be your other, like I say,
Or just get in your pants.
yeah, per se.
Let's be real.
But then it comes down to leaving a scar in you that maybe in the future what God has for you is tainted
Hmm.
because of your experiences of your past,
Yeah.
you know? So I'll let you put me on the spot. Put me on the spot. I don't care.
Well, because you only had what, like one girlfriend?
Doesn't matter if I only had one girlfriend or not.
So then how did that feel with you?
Because
or...
I made the most best rational decision I could have ever made. You're the one, baby doll. Only you.
Okay, but let's be real. Like you growing up in high school, hearing what the guys, because I believe what the guys were more in, like, the thing that they were most was how do I say
Intrigued
it?
about?
Not intrigued about, but the thing that
Mattered the
was
most?
it. Yeah, matter. There you go. Mattered the most was
How
have
many
you had
girls did you
sex?
pull? Oh, 1,000%.
You know, like trying to get in the girls' pants, trying to do, you know.
Yeah.
So I feel like
I feel like I mean, you knew me in high school. I don't think I ever, at any point, treated anybody else with no respect.
mhm.
I think in the sense of how we were raised, same thing morally speaking. Even now and today, like you may consider it like perfect example on Thursday, right? Like,
no,
yeah, we're gonna
no.
talk about it.
I
I'm
wasn't mad about it.
I know,
I was
but
oblivious to it, to be honest.
know, but,
I
like,
was starving.
my thing is like, people can, you know, like start a conversation and just try to like it could be considered like, in a way, quote unquote flirting, but it's not necessarily flirting on my end because I've always been that person. Always been
Why are
that
you
person.
justifying?
I'm not.
I'm not mad at you.
I know. Hold on, let me give you we went to Olive Garden on Thursday.
Oh my
This
God.
past Thursday. And the hostess was taking our information on the party, and then she said, "Well, what's your name? Put it down." So my name's Alfredo. We went to Olive Garden. She's like, "Oh, are you gonna also order Alfredo?" And I looked away because I know my wife.
No.
I do know my wife. I had like moment froze for me, and I said, "Do I engage in this conversation, or do I go to my table and be happy without the death stares of my wife?" So I said, "Let me just go and sit down happily." So I looked away, and she's like, I answered in the most non-monotone way as best as I could, and I said, "I don't know. I'm not. My family may." Because realistically, I'm sick and tired of Alfredo sauce. You know, my kids
Mhm.
love it, and that's just the reality of it. That's why we go there.
Yeah.
So that's the context behind that.
I'm gonna say this now. I'm not toxic. Okay. I'm not. Was I before?
Yes.
Maybe. Just a little bit, like this much.
No.
Just like this much.
Chica toxica.
Not toxic anymore. But I don't think I was ever. Well, yeah, I was toxic.
Yeah.
But just because of insecurities on my own.
Yeah,
part.
but
But we're not gonna get into that.
We're not
right
getting
now.
into that. But here's the thing that like, in my sense is like, I've always been
outgoing, friendly,
friendly.
sometimes too friendly.
It could be interpreted
It can
like
take it. It can be taken.
it could be taken like
too
that, but it's not
friendly.
necessarily that.
Right.
Right?
It isn't.
It's not.
So now it won't ever be.
Yeah. But it's like, in high school it was like that. Was I like maybe wanting something? Yeah, sure. Why not? Who wouldn't? Who 16-year-old wouldn't?
Exactly.
But I wasn't trying to force anything.
Right.
That's the realistically of it. And I also was in the phase of playing sports, so that also took priority in that.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously when I stopped playing sports, I found you, so I was like, done deal. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I've seen so many relationships that you would think be considered everlasting according to what they were doing,
Mhm.
and then disappeared.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes decisions that people take, obviously without maturity, decisions are never going to be the best,
Yep.
right? What wisdom comes from going through life and going through the experiences. That's what wisdom really shows you and teaches you. Um, and like I felt like yesterday, I was like a wise man, just giving them knowledge, right,
Mhm.
on the conversation. But it's like, how do you make a rational decision when all you're trying to search is based off your emotions?
Girls like to be wanted and desired. What girl wouldn't want to be wanted and desired and complimented, especially with somebody who's considered attractive or somebody who is is attractive. You know what I mean? Girls gonna want that. Girls all like it does something.
So what is
You know
it?
what I mean?
So is the attraction based off the looks or the attraction is based on the personality?
I think it's both. Sometimes it can be based on the attraction,
Mm-hmm.
but once you get to know somebody deeper, it's a different type of attraction. Like with you,
Yeah.
I got to know you. And and you're not ugly. You're not ugly.
Of course not. I'm not.
Okay, you're not ugly. So don't get a big old head. Yeah, okay. You weren't ugly. You were a cute chubby boy. And you've always been cute. But you weren't my type in the beginning. Because
What?
we were friends, right? We were best
Yeah.
friends. You weren't my type.
What is the type?
Well, I don't remember now back then, but like I just knew that at that moment you weren't my type, but we were friends, so I wasn't looking at you like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But once I got to know who you were, I got to know your personality. That was more attractive to me, and then it made everything else more attractive about you. You know what I mean? And I think that girls look at this
Physical.
and then they get to know the guy's personality, and then it's like, ugh, what
Like
did I ever
this-
see in you?
Yeah.
And then it just makes them, even though they're attractive from the exterior, they get to know them, and then their exterior just is like,
No bueno.
you know. So I think that's where rushing comes in. You rush something too quick, and you like the person so much because it's like, oh my god, he was the cutest, or oh my god, he's this, and oh my god, he's that. He can do this, he can do that. You get to know the dude, and he wasn't even worth it. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, but so here's my next question: so do you take the value of time is worth more if it doesn't work out, or
What do you mean?
like per say somebody in their 30s, right?
Mhm.
Who hasn't found anybody yet and is looking for somebody, and obviously they know what they want, and let's just say it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
Like, was that time wasted? Could
Mhm.
they have waited for something
Well,
better, or is it just based off trial and error?
maybe they're just, are they like looking for something? It depends on what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Like, are you looking for something more long term, or are you just trying to find? Because it's gonna take a while. Sometimes it takes people a long time to find the right person.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't take people that long. Like, it's different for everybody, you know. But I think people think that at a certain age they have to find somebody because their biological time clock is ticking. And sometimes, yeah, sometimes people want to find somebody, they want to find something long term. You know, so I think it's all depending on what they want. If you want
Yeah.
something long term, then they're gonna, I believe wholeheartedly, if your relationship with God is firm, God's gonna send you the right person, and you're not gonna be confused about it. You're gonna know, your spirit's gonna know,
Right.
and their spirit's gonna know as well.
So let's put in the aspect of the biblical and the godly intake in this,
Mm-hmm.
right? Most of the people back in the day, scripture wise, didn't really talk about dating.
Relationships, yeah.
It was like, you're assigned to this woman, you're assigned to this
I
woman.
have this many husbands. I have this. Well,
I
I have
mean,
this many wives.
Solomon had 700, I believe, women. Imagine that. Even if-
Solomon was a bleep.
Even if he did one girl a day,
What?
if he had one girl a day,
Oh, I thought I heard something else.
no, if he had one girl a day, if he visited one girl a day,
Visited or did?
visited,
Okay, 'cause I'm like, whoa.
if he visited one girl a day, 365, right? 365 days a year,
Imagine that. Like,
he wouldn't have finished. That means he had to double up on 2 days.
my mind is like so not like.
Yeah, we're not talking about that aspect of it. Come on, you know.
I gotta go slap my mind.
Can you imagine? Did he number
Can
them
you
by
imagine
numbers?
the sexually transmitted diseases?
No, this we're not talking about
That's
that.
what I'm thinking about. Like, ew.
Was it? How did he remember the names? How did he remember the favorite colors? You seen the book of Proverbs? Like, imagine speaking to his wives like that. Like, you of so and so, you know, like just like, shout out to the man, you know, shout out to the man. Be able to, I can handle one.
What do you mean? Shout out to the man.
He was the man. Solomon was the man.
Solomon was a dirty.
He was
Plowing
full of
utensil.
wisdom.
If you know what it is, you know what it is. If
He
you've
had
seen the cat
wisdom.
in the hat, you know what it is.
He wisdom.
Huh?
He was very full of wisdom.
In today's day, he would be considered something else. He probably had so many diseases.
No, he
I
did
can't
not.
even-
No, we don't know that.
Well, back in the day, who knows?
Well,
right?
let's really back
Yeah,
in.
please bring me back.
Uh,
My mind's gonna I'm gonna start speaking like word vomit, and I don't know if we could censor some of the stuff out, and it's not gonna. Be
So you
right.
have your.
I'm gonna get canceled,
so
and
yeah-
I just came back.
So producer, she has a hard drive in her mind
Yeah.
And then
I'm
she's
trying
just-
to like.
and then she has word vomit
Exit.
added to it.
I'm exiting
This girl.
the freaking windows. Yeah, take me out of Solomon because I have a couple words for him. That's how we're talking about. Solomon?
No, we're not talking about him. We're just referencing
Well, you
certain
brought him up.
things. Yes, there's.
And you brought up all the.
We're talking about
And you considered him the man, and that's such a man thing
the
to say.
man.
He was a man.
The man, not the man.
The man?
The man.
The man
Yeah.
that was perfect was Jesus.
All right.
Right? Solomon was the man.
Jesus didn't have time for girls.
Good.
He was too busy with ministry.
That's
How about we take his example?
please.
So when you come at me,
'Cause
and be like, I
Solomon's
don't
not a
got
good
time. I don't got time
example.
for you.
Don't be going around having like 5 girlfriends, please. Just don't do that. Out of respect for yourself and out of respect for the women out there.
Can you imagine if it was in today's day and age?
That's what I'm imagining. That's why I'm laughing.
It's like, how do you have the energy, Solomon? What if you mixed up on a text message that wasn't supposed to go out to number 6 and you sent it to number 70?
70?
Can you imagine that?
Ugh.
Or like it was supposed to be a message to number 699.
How do you keep up with the kids?
Hey. My man. Denzel Washington said, my man.
Oh my God, no.
Okay, back into it.
Yeah, please. Reel me
Okay.
back in.
So we were talking about the aspect of timing and the aspect of understanding, like, is it time wasted?
Mm.
If you're at that age, let's say above your mid 20s, early
That's still
30s.
young, though. Very young.
But it's not seen like that.
It isn't.
It's like now today's day and age, it's like you have to be married by a certain age. You have to have your house. You have to have this. You have to have that. People, I'm still living in my in-laws' house. You know what I mean? Like still trying to get life together.
Hmm.
We can probably see the light at the end of the tunnel now.
We are. It's coming.
But it takes sacrifices, you know. Some of us sacrifices come in many different ways.
Hmm.
But that's who you choose to make life with.
Hmm.
And that's why you have to be wise in who you decide to. You start a relationship. Many people think that it's just a temporary thing, or already assuming that it's gonna lead to marriage. No, you got to take it day by day.
Hmm.
There was times we were dating, we didn't know if we were gonna make it out of dating on that dating phase, even being engaged. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like just from experience wise, like there were conversations sometimes and arguments where we're like, that's it, I'm done with you. come pick up your stuff. Remember one time I was grabbing your stuff, putting it inside a box, like, come pick it up.
Stupid. You honestly thought you could get rid of me. I knew. That's the thing. Some girls know what they want and they go after it and they stick their ground.
But then they make
I knew what I
mistakes.
wanted.
Men make mistakes, thinking that they know what they want. Like, let me ask you a question. I'm just kidding. Should your family's opinion matter?
Oh, that's a good one.
Should your family's opinion matter? I mean, the family's not dating him, but he's going to be part of the family.
But I mean, you want to be able to have somebody that's going to be. But you know what? As a parent, I don't think anybody will ever live up to their expectations for like a daughter, for example. You know what I mean? You want your daughters to be, as a parent, you know, we want our daughters to be treated correctly. We want them to have a good home. We want the guy to do this, and that, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't think any guy will ever meet our expectations as parents. And I think that's what my mom always said. Like, not that she doesn't love you, because she adores you. But, like, back then, don't.
I'm not going to say nothing.
Just stop it, because we know she loves you. Just leave it there. But, like, they won't ever meet our expectations because we want the best for our kids.
So let's talk about
you know
our
what I mean?
daughters. We have 2 of them.
But wait.
Okay.
You're saying, should the opinion of your family members matter? I think if you're dating and they're allowing you to date at a certain age where hold on. Because it's like, if you're dating somebody, you should have the approval of your parents. I think the approval of your parents
Matters.
And if you're close to, like, let's say if you have a sister and you and your sister are, like, super close, your sister is going to know you. She's going to watch out for you. I think that opinion matters. But to the point where it's like, you got to see yourself. Like, can you see this guy around your family respectably? Can you see this guy as a woman? I'm talking as a girl.
I would say this. If the respect factor is there, 1,000%, it should matter.
Yeah.
Well, let me rephrase this, because I just think I just got myself into a little hole. Is the respect level it is? I don't think it really has to, because if he respects your parents, he respects your family.
The family will see it.
The family will see it, and they will acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Right. Now, if there is no respect, meaning I had this issue, and I think I learned the hard way, where I brought you home one time, like at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, and your dad was outside with his hands crossed. And I was like, never again, sir, am I going to bring your daughter this late. And I learned, you know?
Yeah.
But it was that. I think it's just a matter of respecting and acknowledging that they're still under the parents' roofs, regardless of age-wise. Until you get your own home, you're not independent. You know what I mean? That's what I learned.
Yeah.
That's what I'm still learning today, right? Because even though, like, let's say we're still living at your mom's,
We still get home at a certain time.
we still get home at a certain time, and like your parents are always awake
Yeah.
to open up the door for us, things like that. And you know, they're always checking up on us too, like, you guys okay? You guys on your way? Like things like that. But it's like, if I mean, I have the liberty of coming home whenever I want, but I'm a freaking sleepyhead that at 10 o'clock at night, I'm already like falling asleep anywhere. We make fun of this, but every single time we go to the producer's house, I sit on his couch and just,
Because it's a very comfy couch.
and then the air hits you right there.
Yeah, and it's nice and cold.
And it's like this.
just- yeah.
And he's like, "You come to visit me, or you come take a nap?" So I'm like,
Listen,
buddy.
mi casa es su casa, right?
Yeah, it's an extension of our home.
We're homeless right now.
I can show up unannounced, and he will accept me with his arms wide open. But it's that, you know, like, I think when it comes to a relationship, there has to be respect boundaries. Listen, I'm not gonna get into the sexual part because
That's a whole
different
other
topic.
we will get into, because I feel like that needs to be talked about more.
Yeah.
Especially growing up Christian. And I
Right.
think when you talked about like relationship standards, I think Christian homes, Latin Christian homes, have set a standard for dating and set a standard for a lot of things where I think that maybe individuals feel like they have to be married at a certain age, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like, but it's different for everybody.
It is different for
It's
everybody.
different for everybody.
It's different for everybody, and everybody has their own opinions and taboos about the certain topic of sexualness, if that's even a word.
Well, it is now.
Yep, sure it is. Here at the Law Podcast, we make words. But it's just a matter of like the tabooing of what the parents have
Talking about
instilled,
uncomfortable conversations.
uncomfortable conversations. But and I feel like it's a difficult conversation because the parents also went through it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I hear my dad and how he speaks and how he, like the stuff he went through when he was younger. I'm like, we're not too different. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
I get it. I get it. But it's like, it's those conversations. I don't want to jump into it because we're gonna go
don't.
into a different route, and I don't want to.
Yeah, I don't.
But I feel like when it comes down to a specific relationship, on the men's boys mentality of it, don't rush into anything,
Yeah.
and don't be looking for something that you're later gonna regret.
Mm-hmm.
What do I mean by regret? That you're not ready for a relationship if you're still dealing with yesterday's trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try to replace a trauma with something else that's gonna come in also, because it's gonna come and jeopardize what you're trying to build and your and your character, your personality. That who knows? Maybe later on in the future, you're not gonna want to trust a specific person because of what you went through.
Mm-hmm.
And this goes too for I think the girls. I think don't rush into anything just because somebody or someone is speaking nice to you.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have to understand what you want and what you're worth, and know that. I think I said it yesterday. If you're searching for a boy, 100% go for it. Date somebody.
Get a boy.
But if you're searching for a man and someone who's gonna take care of you,
God,
then wait.
Man, yeah.
Because God is gonna do things the correct way, but He's also gonna let you do things
Free will.
at your way and your free will, and that's gonna define what your outcome is really gonna be. Because you can wait, because good things wait.
Good things happen to those who wait.
Yes, thank you.
He has a loading in his computer.
Oh my
Here's
God,
my
I don't have a computer.
It was
Okay,
buffering. He doesn't think so, but I think so. Anyway,
so
I think for both girls and guys too, like take that moment to love yourself,
yep,
to find yourself in the midst
and
of
and get
everything.
to know his likes, his dislikes,
If you have a friend,
her likes,
or,
her
yeah.
dislikes, yeah. And get to know the family, because they're gonna be, if you're serious about something, you're gonna want to learn how the family is,
Yep.
what they like, what they don't like, because at the end of the day,
Shop around for your suegros. The heck?
don't shop around. Don't.
Ooh, I like them for my suegros. I'm gonna pick them. Imagine if I would have known.
You
my
can't
suegros
choose
were
your suegros.
pastors.
You can't choose your suegros. You got to choose the person.
I'm
Un-
just kidding. Imagine if I would have chosen suegros.
Hold your breath.
If I would have known your parents were pastors.
No, you wouldn't.
No,
you
I wouldn't.
Because the moment you met me, the moment you met my mom, my mom was one of those hermanas. She was watching Gordo y la Flaca, and she had her
I
freaking
knew once
skirt
I
to
seen
her
your
ankles.
mama. I'm like, oh man. Me metí con una de las hermanas, ya no, ya no me puedo esconder.
But guys, as we're wrapping up this episode, I think we said it best. Wait. Really know what you want. Really know what you're worth, and understand that it comes both ways, obviously. But you have to understand that you shouldn't rush into anything that you're not ready for.
And this can go for people in church and people who are
Yep.
not in church. You
Yep.
know.
I think next conversation we'll go into the
Birds and the bees.
birds and the
flowers and
bees
the
and where they
trees.
come from, and what it is to deal with relationship temptation and dealing with the aftermath of it. Yeah. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
I know it's a little weird episode because we're coming back and we're trying to
a little rusty.
little rusty on the engagement and the energy factor on it. But best believe we'll come back next week, talk again. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Continue to subscribe, follow, share. I'm gonna start uploading clips again this week. So boom, get balls rolling.
Back on the grind.
Yeah, back on the grind. Liz is done with school, so I don't want no more excuses.
Oh
Okay.
my God. I'm gonna go back to school actually.
No, you're not. No, you're
I might go
not.
for a master's at this point.
You don't need a master's. Your
Just
bachelor's
kidding.
does enough. Thank you guys for another episode, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.